for 60 minutes by any NHL team over a 3-game span as well. So they were tracked back in the 1950s is when they were started. Montreal can't shoot. That's their detriment. Your thoughts real quick?
They were hesitant to shoot. It's partially by design. That's how St. Louis wanted to play.
That's how they play.
This is a team that last year went to the playoffs and lost in the first round, and this year came back after winning 2 series on the road in Game 7, now facing a team that's been there 4 or 5 straight years trying to break the door down.
Yes.
And the picture I'm painting is that winning championships in the sports I cover takes tremendous fortitude, and it's a process. You have a guy like Patrick Waugh that'll show up and take a team somewhere. A guy like Jonathan Quick, that's once every generation. Other than that, it takes building blocks. And the 2 building blocks that have been coming together all year are the 2 teams here. And unfortunately for Montreal, they still have one more year to have to sweat. Look out for them next year. They're one of the youngest teams in the league this year. With that experience, that coach, that civic pride, I am absolutely not worried about Montreal. Whatever happens in this series, I expect that the color of the series is that Montreal had these first 3 games to take advantage of Carolina. What we saw last night was Carolina's legs beginning to get under them.
Yeah.
And Montreal showing the wear from that series.
But I mean, it's by design because in Buffalo, I complained about it a lot. They would just go dormant on shots on goal and play that defensive style. They let Buffalo into a couple games to come back. They win one of them in overtime and things like that. But 4 shots on goal in the third periods, 4 shots in Game 3 and 4 combined for Montreal. You don't win too many games when you're doing that against a sharpshooting team like Carolina as well. I'm not saying it's bad on Montreal in terms of their future and stuff like that. Like you said, they're young. They got to figure it out, though, and this is a learning curve for them.
There's nothing but blue sky in Montreal. Listen, Canada hasn't even had somebody go this far for a while. So I think we need to throw accolades where they're due, and what that coach did and that team did is exemplary, and next year they're going to be tough. Now, but let's focus to Carolina, and I don't know how much time you have before.
Oh, I tell you what, hold on to that thought real quick, and we'll take a break early, and we'll come back into it. It's just the Montreal's been outshot 136-65 by the Kings. Some teams can survive that and win games. You can't do that against sharpshooting teams like Carolina, like you saw last night, where they can light it up pretty quickly. That'll work against some teams, but like Buffalo, for instance, you can go on those little sides. So it is interesting to see. But no, hold that thought, Lou. And I tell you what, let's take a quick break here. Finish this hour early. Come back with Uncle Lou and keep it rolling here with the hockey talk, baseball talk. Got the regionals set up this weekend. And then, of course, UFC talk coming up with this guy, Uncle Lou. Come on back, folks. And we're back here. Took a little early break here for the start the second hour because it's a busy time in here, folks. College baseball, we've already kind of touched on hockey. Just the game last night, I think the conclusion I have at least is it's Carolina, Vegas in the final coming up here as well, which to me it's a disappointment because I wanted to see Carolina in Colorado, but the Knights bring a different angle into it. But first, guys, every Thursday, and ladies, every Thursday at 9 o'clock, Uncle Lou joins us. You can find him as a contributor on the VSIN network. Of course, Gamblu.com is where you can find him. At Gamblu on X as well. How you doing, Lou?
Doing great, Steve. Happy to be here. A lot of sports that are in my crosshairs this time of year. So I'm fired up, ready to get to it. I know we always want to talk that my webpage is my presence, at least when we talk about sports. It's Gamblu.com. You can go there to find everything out about me as you wish. I have a new
blog out there?
That's an old blog. Can you refresh that, Kobe, and see that I actually
Yeah, it might be our system because the way they pull it up, it might not go. But I'll tell you right here too. I got. No, it is. Yeah, you have a profitability post.
I have a total
So
profitability.
that's on our system. So our system just didn't update it. You do have a puck profitability posted one there on your website. Yeah.
Be that as it may, rather than if the puck profitability tells you how great I'm doing this year after
37 and 30 plus 7.42 units, 19% ROI.
Then it lists all the remaining bets, which we don't have to get into. In any case, Gamblu's where you find out about me. The band at the top of the webpage gives you everything you need to know about me. And if you're just interested in sports, check out my opinions and you can laugh at them or take them to heart. Either way, the most important tab is the one on the far right, the San Xavier Del Bach mission. That's the oldest mission in the United States, located here in Arizona, south of us, a couple hours just south of Tucson. Great place, built in 1670 some, oldest mission in the country, and obviously they're doing really wonderful work there. It's totally indigenous to Arizona, as am I, coming many years ago from Nebraska, and so I've taken the mission as my counterpart, and I draw as much attention to them as I can. And Steve lets me bring this up every single week. I thank him for it, and if you want to check out the mission page, go down, hit the link, and it'll take you right there.
Absolutely. And now look, the fights are coming up in China this weekend there in Macau. So we'll get a lot of viewers and listeners and watchers all from that part of the country here with the UFC fights coming up. So keep that in mind also. We do have old buildings here, people from the other parts of the world. Not very many of them, but we do have a couple.
Old buildings.
Meanwhile, they're all walking around and like, here, this building was built in the 1200s, and this was built in.
Yeah,
and we're like, we have a
I see
building
what you
from the
mean,
1600s.
because you're right. If you go to any city in Arizona, it's all less than 100 years old. So we got no antiquity here, except for that.
So somebody watching us, and I don't know, even China, they're like, oh, this was built, whatever.
No.
Before BC or whatever.
If they're watching us in China, it's late at night, and I wonder what they're,
Hey, got to get ready for the UFC fights this weekend coming up, right? But, check out Lou. Follow him at Gamblu. Sneak Teep came out earlier this week, obviously, about business. So fights are overnight, basically Friday night into Saturday morning, coming up here. When the weigh-ins, we'll get into UFC in a minute, but when are the weigh-ins and the bout business? Because I'll forget to ask you.
Yeah, so the weigh-ins, it's Thursday. There's sometime tonight, and I'll find out when. And there won't be a live stream, so I have to see it as it goes. Not that it matters, because it's a different kind of a card. I'll be shooting one or two bets. One I already gave out on the Sneak Teep podcast that's available on my webpage. And so this card means way less to me than NHL hockey and College World Series, and so I'm putting it in its place.
Okay, perfect. That's good to know, because I'll just forget to ask. But About Business comes out. His website or your favorite podcasting system, you can find him along with all of ours as well. But let's get into that. We were talking hockey here and just talking about last night's game specifically. And in my mind, look, we got a Carolina Knights final coming up here, which is kind of a shocker. Kind of have to redo it because I was looking forward to Colorado, Carolina coming up, and those two behemoths hitting there. And the Knights showed up, swept. Of course. Tortorella is dominating here as a head coach and got these guys in Las Vegas playing a championship form for a team that wouldn't even have made the playoffs if they were in the East this year. That's how they snuck in there towards the end in the West to get to this point. Sorry, Montreal. I don't mean to put you off to the side, but that's at least what I'm viewing coming up here as well, Lou. So your thoughts on what we've seen so far and what we got coming up?
Well, I don't think anyone could have predicted what Vegas did to Colorado. However, it isn't a surprise at all. In fact, if you we had some very great success in the first two games of that series with Las Vegas as plus 190 underdogs and such. Colorado had to play LA in the first series, and everyone looks past that. But if you remember it, it was a bunch of 1-0 and 2-1 games because LA is big and heavy and hard and defensive, and they play that from the goal out. And Colorado gets past them And then they get into their arch rival in the same division, Minnesota, another big, heavy team that really took it out of Colorado. That is bigger and heavier than they've been in the past, but not big enough and heavy enough to see what they had to take into Las Vegas, the biggest and heaviest team of all that they were going to face, one right after another, right after another. And so physically, Colorado broke down. And Vegas is an incredible story about totally maverick ownership going out and getting Torts, bringing Torts in. His record speaks for itself. There's no denying it. But what all this has created, and this sweep of Colorado has created a tidal wave, a tsunami wave of recency towards the Vegas Golden Knights. And the Torts story and the Knights and beating Colorado, and that's going to throw a cloud over what's going on in the East. And it's a building block thing. This Carolina team must be taken seriously. And I'll say it further than this. I think when those two meet, Carolina and Las Vegas, it will be a perfect storm opportunity for Carolina. And I say that because Carolina will be the beneficiary of a efficient series with Montreal and then moving right into the finals after 11 days off before the championship series. Meanwhile, Vegas had no time off, but they're going to have 7 full days of rest before this series starts. Huge disadvantage. Huge, huge, huge. I believe the series is built on that aspect of the series. And with that in mind, I think you're going to find Carolina maybe will come as a short favorite. In fact, I was just trying to look that up. Futures.
Were they? I guess that's true.
Carolina minus 145 on DraftKings. Golden Knights plus 130. If you took it right now, Montreal, you want to get a price 30-1 if you think they can win it all. My advice.
Win 3 in a row.
My advice will be, and no one's heard this except Matt Humans and Brady Cannon.
You're hearing it first.
This is I haven't written this. And I already have bets on it, so I'm not worried. But what I would have you consider is Carolina, and I wouldn't be shy. I think it's a perfect storm for them. And if you're gonna do it, rather than take them right now, I think the tsunami wave could affect the series price on Las Vegas. And if Las Vegas as a dog starts getting eaten up, that means the Carolina price comes down and becomes more affordable. So I'm not telling you to jump now. I'm telling you to just watch that series line and where it goes. My guess would be it could go up a little bit in the next couple of days with people like me that are going to hit it a little bit now. And then it could, again, I think as we get closer and closer to the series, the public is going to be hearing nothing but Vegas and Tortorella information. And I think it's just going to sway the public. And I think Carolina, and making it hard, putting that negative price there, I wouldn't be deterred. I think they're more like minus 190.
Does the way Vegas played against Colorado, they're a wide open team, can score a lot. Colorado can. They were able to defense them up a little bit. Then you got the Carolina choking that they've had in the past. They're getting past that finally here to make it to the final. They just got to win one more here and everything. That doesn't. That's what scares me a little bit about Carolina. Can Vegas knock them up? Can Vegas lock them up?
Yeah, Carolina. Can Vegas lock them up? And what I'm telling you is for two games or a game and three quarters, Vegas ain't going to be able to catch up to them.
Yeah.
The rest is going to work adversely to Vegas early in that series. And this is a series you get down 2-1, it's hard. I'm just saying. I look for Carolina to just be too fast, too mighty, too swarming, too everything, especially after playing the quickness of Montreal. There's nothing in Vegas that's going to scare them outside of the physicality, and we'll see. No, I'm not saying Vegas is slow. I'm just saying they're heavier
compared to Carolina.
And that's where they could be exposed. So it should be fascinating. I can just tell you that if you watch me on VSIN or anywhere else in the next week before this series starts, you'll hear what I just said.
And do what you can. Well, obviously, make your own decisions out there as it goes. And I told you also, kind of during that break there, man. I just looking at it going, and I'm the guy you're talking about. Vegas surprised me so much against Colorado with what they did. I expected Vegas to get blown out in a couple games and this go 6-7 games and and things to that effect. The way they played, the way they just shut out Colorado, physically beat up Colorado, which Colorado came in beat up. But I mean, McKinnon got injured in that. A couple other major guys for Colorado. That kind of woke me up to go, they're going to employ that same strategy against Carolina, who has the same way.
Is how long they got to wait to play again.
I know I don't disagree with that. It's a long wait time. I
can't tell you what a factor that is.
Yeah.
You poll the Vegas guys. You want 7 days off, guys? Nope.
Oh, they would have wanted to go right back out again. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the other side that you said.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think you might have said it. You might have said it on air. I don't remember now, but you definitely said it today where you said Carolina last night looked like they were getting their legs back.
Oh, yeah.
They played something like 10 games in 30 days because they were the sweep, and then to get into this series. So, they're still fresh.
Yeah, you saw it in the Montreal series. Game 1, Montreal just ran right by them. Yeah. Looked like Carolina was skating in wet cement.
Yeah.
Game 2, it got better second half. Game 3, bing. All right, and now Carolina going to just be rolling because they're going to time that next series as soon as they can get rid of this one.
Yeah.
So
the thing I'll be paying attention to in this series is after Game 3. Now they were down 3-0. The Colorado coach got caught at the blackjack tables in Vegas late at night one night with a picture of him.
Was that late at night?
It was late. It wasn't like 3 a.m, but it was later at night. And they got a picture. So I'm gonna be like watching that. Going,
I saw that photo. He didn't look sloppy drunk.
He wasn't like that.
He didn't have vomit on his shoulder.
They were down 3-0, and he looked depressed. He was probably like, "I'm just see if we can change our fortunes here at the table." It wasn't like 3 a.m. or anything, but it was later than you would think somebody would be out at that time when they have a game.
What is it? So what time is that later?
I don't know. I want to say it was 8 or 9, but don't exactly.
I was at a crap table one night with Jimmy Johnson, Dave Wanstead, and Norv Turner at Caesars after a fight playing craps at the same table with them, and I had one hoot of a time. And it was in the.
But they didn't have a game the next day.
It was in the wee hours. Yeah. It was a Saturday night after a fight.
Oh.
Well, it must have been off, or it must have been off season.
Yeah.
Because clearly, if they had a game the next day, none of them would have been there. In fact, I remember saying, "Of course, it's off season" or some goofy thing like that.
Yeah.
They must have been there for meetings or something.
I didn't make a big deal out of Colorado. I was like, they're down 3-0. He knows what's going on. He's probably those injuries. When we see the Colorado injury list that comes out, now they've been eliminated. We'll get it any day now. It's going to be ridiculous.
Well, it's going to be from the 3 series they had to endure that kind of beating.
They were unbelievably hurt.
And now you can kind of see Montreal a little bit. Carolina got big brothered for 3 straight years by Florida, and they just couldn't get past them. This year, Florida doesn't make it. Now Carolina knows how to be the bully, and they're giving it to Montreal. Montreal, I don't know who's the young kid, Hudson.
Yeah,
Hudson.
Yeah,
made the mistake, and it's Carolina's game plan. Brindamore had make sure we're hitting him every time he's on the ice.
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I like Brindamore. He's really impressed me.
Guy. How do you not like him? I don't know how you not like it. He's had a tendency
I watch him,
to grip the stick too tight in previous series to this year, but it's been 4 or 5 years that he's been put up with that frustration. And a dude like that's what happened in his career as a player.
Same thing,
It took him forever to win a cup, and now, I got to root for him, and I think the spot is really favorable.
I would say that the spot does set Carolina up in terms of the rest they had earlier to now and things to that. So Lou told you guys what he's thinking going to this series. Well, of course, there's one more game against Montreal.
Oh, no, there could be 2. You don't know.
2, yeah. But
let's go Montreal.
Carolina's 225 favorites for that game. I think it's tomorrow night. 225 favorites going to that game. So people are really looking at Carolina to close out that series tomorrow night. It could be 2 or 3, right? Technically, if they're still alive. I just don't know how Montreal's not going to change their game planning, and you cannot not shoot the puck against Carolina. If you're on your defensive end for periods at a time, you're not going to win those games. And that's the thing that kind of shocks me on Montreal going to that. Really quick, just in a gambling story here. Do you know the Fertitta brothers, Tillman?
I don't know.
Around the gambling circle
I
sign?
know of them, and I know their properties, and I've been
Golden Nugget,
the
was it?
stations,
Station.
casino. So Palace Station.
Yeah.
And,
He doesn't own Red Rock, does he?
no, but I think
okay.
there's been some conglomerate news recently in Vegas about sports books, meaning
That's what I'm getting at.
Caesars is now running various hotels sports book operations
Well,
for them.
Fertitta just bought the Caesars Entertainment this morning
for like $17
billion. Well, that's why I was asking
I'd
you,
like to know
because
the Fertittas.
so would I. But I mean, one reason he's doing it, from what I'm reading, he owns the Houston Rockets, wants to own more sports franchises, stuff to that effect. Is I hear he wants to focus on the sports book type market and go more fiercely into that type of stuff. So that's the only reason I was bringing it up.
Well,
to you.
I think he's going into it in the duality of owning pro sports and the sports gambling.
Yeah.
I think he's the first to be able to interwove
interweave
those
two
together.
Yeah, so it is a fascinating movement. Let's see how it changes. How it changes, because that's the one thing about Vegas. People, it used to be you go in there and sports books were huge. Now they've all shrunk them little. VSIN, the one downtown there, Circa obviously expanded theirs with, I think, is a phenomenal place. They're a little proud of it nowadays compared to when they first opened it in terms of what you have to pay to get into it. But I think it's phenomenal to watch games there on that stuff. And everywhere else you go, it's this little room with like 3 chairs, in a back corner.
Yeah, and sometimes I like those too. I can tell you this: when I am in Vegas, if there's an event, if somebody comes and tells you, "Hey, yeah, we were at XYZ Casino on the Strip or here, there," and we went in to watch the fights, and we saw Lou there watching the fight in the sports book, you'd say, "Oh, no, I know that wasn't Lou," and they'd say, "Well, what are you talking about?" He's like, well, "Lou would never watch fights in a big crowd with everybody there. He doesn't. I don't watch NFL games in the sports book with everybody. I don't watch fights that way. I watch by myself." Because if I'm having a great night, usually everybody in the sports book's all bummed out. Not that I'm doing this. I never do that.
And the guy gets knocked down, loose chair, and everybody else is like, boo.
No, I don't. I hold it in. I know how to do it by now. But it's adverse. If I go out there and I think I got the right guy and my guy gets the brakes beat out of him, everybody over here screaming and yelling. I'm looking at some freaking guy with his pants down to his knees, just saluting because he won, and I'm over here with a losing ticket. And so I don't want to put up with that BS. I'll just go feel like a loser all by myself because I hate losing. And a couple weeks ago, we had a good one recently. I don't remember who. Arnold Allen come back, made me look good. But the one before that, who was it? Jack Della Maddalena. Oh, baby.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What that was a colossal egg that I laid. To get sucked in on that and make that release hurts me to my core to this day. I mean, it's going to take me a couple more cards to get over that miss.
Shake it off, Lou. Shake it off.
Oh, no, I get it. You got to. But when you look, I have a few of them in my mind that come to mind that were just like, have you ever done this before in your whole life? You picked that guy?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's
well,
like
whatever.
years later. I'm letting you lament now. I'm just going to let you do it. But, let's get into college baseball. We know the field here as well coming into this.
The field.
I'm good because there's so many things. Obviously, ASU got into this just from a local perspective. They're in the your old place here in Nebraska.
Up in Lincoln, Nebraska, the Haymarket.
Interesting enough, they got Nebraska's the number 1 seed. Ole Miss is the number 2 seed into this. They also have South Dakota State as the 4 seed. ASU is the 3 seed. ASU, at least according to Baseball America, going into this, actually are higher ranked than Nebraska and Ole Miss going into this. Nebraska is on upset alert, according to the prognosticators out there. ASU plays Ole Miss first here tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, so 6 p.m. our time. ESPNU for that game, just for you guys at home here. Winner goes on and plays the winner of Nebraska. Loser, obviously.
What time is the ASU game here?
6 p.m. our time, 9 p.m. Eastern.
6 p.m. our time. All right, beautiful. Beautiful, because I'm going to be watching some of these games. And game 1, no bets, because I have some bets that they're all on the web page too, by the way.
Are you just hanging out of your futures one still?
I have futures, and I've added a few futures where I had some holes, namely Texas.
Yeah.
I have bets to win the regional. First of all, if you're going to dabble in the College World Series, you have to get a bracket. Okay, if you don't, it's a bracket just like college basketball. So you can, everyone knows how that works. It whittles you down. But you got to understand where each team sits because I'm strategic in trying to cover each section of the bracket so that I have advantage, hopefully with 2, 3, 4 of these teams making it into the finals. So February 9th, I put out a list to win the College World Series. Just in the last day or so, I put out, and these as soon as DraftKings came out with these numbers, I was out with bets 15 minutes later. I put out to make the College World Series. I have 4 of those bets, and I made to win the regional. I made 4 of those bets, and be happy to share them here. Here's the regional. So in the regional, Steve just brought up Nebraska, South Dakota. And then Arizona State, Ole Miss. That is a killer, murderous division because 3 of those teams can win it. I don't think that South Dakota can. I bet Nebraska to come out of that region at plus 110. And I'm hoping that Arizona State and Ole Miss beat the brains out of each other in that first game and leave them susceptible for Nebraska because I'm really afraid of Ole Miss. If it's an SEC team, they've been playing Big Brother and getting their nose bloody. They may look like 8 and 9 in the division, but it's against top 6 teams every time they play. So I'm scared to death of Ole Miss. So there's one, Nebraska at plus 110. The next one, Arkansas. Arkansas is on the other side of the bracket, and they're in the – where the hell did they go?
I'm flipping through.
Oh, there they are. They're up at the top right. So Kansas, number 1, Northeastern, number 2, they play one game, and then Missouri State and Arkansas. Missouri State and Arkansas had a couple games this year, and in one of them they had a benches-clearing brawl. And I think that some of the people that were even selling hot dogs and stuff went down there and got involved in it. So there's some history there, and
that
it
was
should
recently,
be good.
too. That was like a month ago, 2 months ago.
This one should be good, that first matchup. It's interesting they'd put those – that's like putting fire and gasoline together in the first one. However, I will say this. Arkansas should be the one, I think, with their history, their coach, and the fact they're ACC. This might be just the thing that they needed to give him a kick in the butt. And I took Arkansas plus 145. They're now plus 130. That's why I take it right away. I want to get it before – I want to get my advantage before others see what I see. And I think Arkansas is going to be really competitive in that region. Next one, Oak State. Here's one I really like. And that's Oak State's down a couple on the top right of the bracket. Alabama plays Alabama State, Alabama SEC team. And then USC Upstate takes on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State was in this tournament a year ago. They had a bunch of hitting, no pitching. They did well. They learned. They got some great experience. They were competitive. And now this year they come back with way better pitching too. Oak State's a good team. I caught them plus 190. Right now they're plus 165. So again, others have seen what I saw at those openers too. Doesn't mean they're going to win it. They've got to get by UC Upstate. That sounds like a pushover, but none of these games are. Baseball's random. So there's work to do here. But if you notice, every one of my picks for the region got a plus number in front of it, except for this last one, Southern Miss. We go over to the Southern Miss Regional, and you got Southern Miss, Little Rock, Jacksonville State, and Virginia. Virginia's just getting healthy. They're interesting. Jacksonville State might be the most underrated team. They're this year's Coastal Carolina, if you will. They're a very underrated team. You got Little Rock and Southern Miss. But Southern Miss has been hosting these regionals in Southern Miss for a couple of years now, and they always spit up all over themselves. Again, we talked in hockey. It's a process winning. I think Southern Miss is the little engine that could, and at plus 100, I took them. So those are the 4 bets. If my unit is $100, these are all $50 bets. So they're all half unit bets. All I'm trying to do is get involved in these regionals, watch some scores, and learn as we go through. So the next one is, how about we want to take a few teams. We'll have a little fun to make the College World Series.
Yep.
So they just got to be in the final 8. We went to the Florida State region there where they play St. John's and then Northern Illinois and Coastal Carolina. It's a real first of all, between the SEC and the ACC, you're going to have 5-6 teams of the 8 in Omaha. Florida State's one of the top 3 ACC teams. They've got some questions, but boy, the bracket really helps them because they have to play the Alabama Okie State winner. Florida State has a chance to make it, I think, pretty good. And so at plus 150, there's a half a unit bet. And we went over to the other side of the bracket, Florida, SEC team, coached by Sean O'Sullivan, coached by Coach O'Sullivan. This coach is good. He gets them there all the time. They always play 500 SEC ball, and when they get to the end of the season, they're playing their best ball.
They wake up, right?
So Florida to make the College World Series, that's a plus 110. That was a half a unit play. Then we went over again, believe it or not, it's another SEC team, bottom right of the bracket, Mississippi State. Mississippi State against Lipscomb, Louisiana, and Cincinnati. Very favorable matchup for Mississippi State, who's really good on pitching, comes from the SEC. The coach at Virginia previously, a guy named O'Connor, that played at Creighton and is from Omaha, is now coaching Mississippi State. If Mississippi State makes it to Omaha, every fan in the stands will be for Mississippi State, which is something because Omaha traditionally hates Mississippi State's guts. But this coach change makes all the difference. And for them to make the College World Series, they're a plus 115. So there was another half unit bet. Now, I want a long bomb. And everybody and their mother's talking about Georgia Tech on the top right. Everybody and their mom is just there to Georgia Tech this, Georgia Tech that. But let me tell you something. They're overlooking Oklahoma, who was in this tournament last year and went somewhat deep. Yeah. Oklahoma getting no shine from nobody, and everybody's already anointing Georgia Tech. OU to make the College World Series, 15-1. Let's try that. How about that deal?
Really? For the long shot, I like it.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, I got to put a price in there. You know, we got to.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's on Georgia Tech also because they got UIC and the Citadel in there, you know, in their bracket, and obviously Oklahoma as well. So that is it. You said they're 15-1 when you placed that bet.
Yeah,
earlier,
I'm checking that right now. I want to make sure that's what it is.
Yeah, because I mean, that's an interesting take there because. I'm always weary of the people that go, watch out for this team. Now, obviously, everybody's saying UCLA's, moving on and stuff like that. That you can kind of get behind with the way season that
Oklahoma
they had, obviously.
To make the College World Series 15-1, because if they were to beat Georgia Tech and then they go into that Kansas-Arkansas bracket where I think they could still run. So
and you have Arkansas coming out there, huh, too? Yeah,
that could be, again, I like to have a bomb in there, and you just put a few peanuts on it and have fun with it. I mean, guy like you, Steve, if you're going to bet $5 on $2 or $3 of these, and you might put $2 on this thing. Yeah. What the hell?
I'll just waste the whole
funny
$5.
Money, whatever you got to do.
I'll make it up with those other plus numbers.
The to win the World Series market is different. Many of those came out February 9th, and many of those are in really good play. Now, LSU didn't make the tournament, so that recommendation that came out in February is a loss that counts in our record.
You were big on LSU.
I'm just saying I was big on them, and I start out with an L with them, and I think that's the only one that had lost. UCLA 11-1. We got North Carolina 19-1. Mississippi State at 20-1.
Now that's to win the College World Series.
To win.
Right? Okay, yeah.
We got Oregon at 25. Oregon State at 30.
Ooh, and they can play each other in their first regional here. That regional's crazy.
Florida was 20. Auburn was 11, and Oak State. And some of these that are really long odds like this. 60-1. That's like 0.15 of a unit. You know, you don't have to have a lot on it to hit. And if you have 3 or 4 of them and you can get one of them in, you can have some fun during the College World Series. So,
absolutely. But sorry, go ahead. You finish your
So
thought.
I was just going to say there, what I've done there is I've spent basically 5 units over all of those positions. So there's somebody saying, well, that's a lot of bets you could lose. Yeah, I could lose 5 units. But if one hits, the shortest amount I would win is 9. So if one hits, I'm 4 units plus. Will I bet 5 to win 4 or better? Yeah, because if another one hits, I could win 16 units.
Yeah.
And then the math really works. So I'm trying to hit a winner while I bet these regionals and supers.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one, Brian, I wanted to talk to you about here was that Eugene regional. Oregon State's the 2 seed. Washington State's the 3 seed. You got Oregon's the 1 seed in that, and then you got Yale coming over from the East Coast to the old Pac-10 foes here in that regional. To me, when I look at the regionals, to me that's just a crazy. Not just because Washington State, your old division foes here, right? Old Pac-12 foes and things to that effect. That's a crazy regional for me on that side. And like you said, and that's what I also know is you have Oregon State and Oregon in your February 9th, win the World Series bet there.
Right.
And now they're matching up in this first round in Eugene of all places.
I hate that. And Oregon's the favorite over Oregon State. Oregon State's missing their ace.
Yeah.
So they get shut down.
They're still winning though, even without them. But now things change here.
And they're a championship pedigree team. Believe me, they'll give it their all. And in Washington State, you're right. Great eye. This is a murderous bracket. Washington State is a good team, and so is Yale. Yale's odds to win the region are shorter than Washington State, so don't think Oregon's going to dance in.
Really? Yale is too. I was just looking at it going, we got 3 teams that know each other intimately. And then you got a team small school coming from the East Coast. Like, good luck fitting in this rivalry.
I couldn't agree. No, I think Yale fits better than we think. That will be my prediction in that one because all those teams, I could see. I guess I'd be a little surprised if Yale won, but I could see the other 3 winning.
I saw that, and I was like, there did no favor. Like, who did Oregon State, Oregon, and Washington State upset when they made these brackets? That they put them all together. Hey, you guys just go here, and then they're close to home. Then they're close to home on top of it. Oh, I know. But then they're all close to home too, right? Even Washington State to Oregon's a puddle jumper flight to get over there. So that is an amazing bracket to watch coming up. If you want to watch one, that's probably the one I would probably.
That said, the Arizona State bracket's competitive, and we're going to be able to see it on TV here. And I'll be honest with you, from a kid that grew up in Omaha and watched College World Series every freaking year since I was in diapers, and going to the U of A, I'll be rooting for ASU. I got no hang up with that. When I grew up, U of A was Auburn or Alabama. They don't know nothing from ASU. We grew up with Arizona State in the College World Series with USC every freaking year. Dido and who was the old coach of ASU?
Yeah, I know. I knew you were going to say that. I always say the name wrong.
Brock. Before Brock.
Yeah, I know. So that's the thing. I always say his name wrong. So I got to think of it. You caught me on the
Whoever
spot
it was, but it didn't matter because ASU was there all the time. And when I grew up, I wanted to go to ASU, and then I drove down here as a high school kid, and we drove ASU's campus. And coming from the sticks of Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, it was a big city. There were streets and stuff. It was weird to me. And then we went down to the U of A, and it was like 5, and the sun was going down. There were some halter tops moving around, and I was hook, line, and sinkered, baby. Because it's more a sequestered campus with
it's
and so they're very, very different, even though they're both very, very great.
Robert says, with all the SEC talk, I thought Helly was still there.
Sorry, Robert, but I'm getting right. I mean,
you're not wrong for the most part.
I have North Carolina. I have Miami, Florida.
The Arkansas pick.
I have Florida State.
The Arkansas pick is the one where I find interesting because Kansas is good,
and I tend to not like Arkansas.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, because Kansas is really good. So as
they are, but what conference are they in?
I know, Big 12.
And then who they playing? A team in the
Northeastern is the first one. Then the SEC. Then the SEC team.
Then they play the SEC team, and that's why I'm nervous about Nebraska. Mississippi's the only one I ventured against.
The reason why that one, besides Arizona State being in that, is that's one of the few regionals where the 3 seed is actually ranked higher than the 1 and 2 seed.
Yeah, I just
So
don't know if the pitching at ASU. You've been squawking about that the whole year, Steve.
Well, that's the thing. They went through that big lull in the middle where they could have been hosting a regional, but then they went through that big lull where their pitching was just getting lit up and they weren't hitting it all. Then their hitting woke up, and then their pitching, and then when the Big 12 tournament came, they went up. They were playing well, and then they went up against West Virginia and just looked like they'd never played baseball before. And West Virginia's a good school too in this tournament.
In it.
And so you're just sitting there going, which ASU team's going to show up? I guess is kind of, and it worries me a little bit. First time Arizona State's been in this position. In terms of this, with the expectations on them coming in. I don't know if they're not favored on the book line, but like I said, the expectation is they're the better team out there. So you're sitting there going, I don't know, expectations might let us down in this bracket. But Nebraska and Ole Miss are quality teams. That any one of those three can walk out of this and make it to the Super Regional. So that's where that's fascinating from that perspective. Most of the other brackets are just, you can see a 2 seed winning, but you usually don't see too many 3 or 4 seeds sneaking out of these regionals.
It's rare when that happens.
Yeah. ASU probably should have been a 2 seed in this. If you were to rank them properly, how you can always go through and see. It wouldn't have been shocking if they were a 2 seed.
Says about it. I'm looking at the lines right now.
Yeah. I've not looked them up yet, but I know Baseball America is hyping Arizona State up in that they have Nebraska on upset alert. So, but Nebraska can obviously being home says a lot.
Mississippi
doesn't it?
minus 155.
In the first game there?
Yeah, and Arizona State would be plus 125.
That doesn't surprise me with, like you said, SEC and Ole Miss coming into this game as well. So it'll be interesting to watch. It's going to be an interesting bracket.
It's going to be very interesting. I would love to see Arizona State beat Mississippi only because I would prefer Nebraska play ASU than Mississippi. I'm scared to death of Mississippi.
Man, you pitch bad against Arizona State though, man, and those balls you're going to lose a lot of balls into that outfield. I don't care where they're playing. They can play in those deep ballparks.
Yeah, no,
or the smaller ballparks. That Hairston kid and
Haymarket's smaller, so it favors gorilla ball. Omaha doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see Georgia or Georgia Tech on my futures board. Because they're very reliant on home runs. And teams that come to Omaha relying on home runs get disappointed because the wind gusts in at 17 into their teeth every single effing day. I'm telling you, I got the wind meter. I look like a doggone meteorologist at my house with all the technology.
Lou's got somebody, he's texting somebody in the crowd going, hold that thing up so I can see how fast it's spinning.
I have a map as how the stadium sits next to the river, and then I put the wind – I'm trying to think of the name of the web.
I know what you're talking about. It does the arrows or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it shows me the direction and miles per hour over the course of the day. I just love the thing. For 10 days.
Every game, Lou's just adjusting his betting based off of the wind pattern.
I again, if you're listening, I bet a lot of unders, but I don't bet them blindly. I look at wind. Yeah. And for the first half of every year, the makers are asleep. And then they say, oh, yeah, remember we were getting clobbered on unders because of that wind. And then they wait to put totals out later, unfortunately. It's a cat and mouse game. But I'm just saying, if you go to the Gamblu webpage daily, my stuff will be out there. And I'll have checked wind the day before, and I'll let you know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I do like Florida State. I've been actually secretly high on Florida State throughout the season to where,
I better sell them.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, you haven't gone to the World Series.
I'm kidding because you're going to give me the kiss of death.
I'm not saying they're going to win the whole thing, but I do expect them to go on a run here. And then I'm interested in Florida because, like you said, last year, 500 in SEC play or whatever, and then just go and win the whole thing.
I don't know if they won it or they got to the finals.
They got to the finals.
Maybe.
Was that last year or 2 years ago?
The coach is he plans it. He's got it scheduled. They peak at the right time, and that whole SEC should be really fun. Those ACC teams, North Carolina, West Virginia, we haven't talked a lot about. The teams we haven't talked about in those brackets is because those regionals are the favorites liable to roll. I look for Auburn to steamroll.
West Virginia, Auburn. West Virginia should roll in theirs. They got Wake Forest, Kentucky, Birmingham is their first game. West Virginia should roll through that one there. That's a Big 12
But
school.
then they got UCLA on deck, so
Do
that's
they?
why
Oh.
they're being discounted a little
Yeah, you got to discount that.
bit. Again,
I think
you got to have a bracket, people.
UCLA is definitely
Because you got
the
to see
favorite.
who, if you're betting to get to the College World Series, you got to see what the path is there. And if it's me and I got, Riley and my son and a couple of patty cakes and then Mike Tyson, you're just like, well, draw an X on him. He ain't getting there.
That's
So,
awesome.
you got to know the bracket.
Yeah, and it starts tomorrow for the weekend as well. So exciting.
Oh, it's
college
exciting.
baseball coming up here as well. So you got the Diamondbacks at Seattle this weekend. College baseball here as well for the rights to go to the Super Regionals coming up as well from that. And I mean, even then, like UCLA is the number 1 seed. They play St. Mary's in their first game. And then they got Virginia Tech and Cal Poly on their other side of their thing as well. It's one of those things where it's, man, UCLA is probably going to roll through that. You're at least expecting them to.
Cal Poly isn't terrible, and Virginia Tech isn't terrible.
And that's the thing about baseball. One bad outing from a guy on that mound, and it could be in the losers bracket pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that's where UCLA really does kind of differentiate themselves is the depth of their starting pitching, and they got a bullpen. So the pitching's big, and that's why they're there. And in the case of Georgia Tech, they've got what seems to be pitching and hitting. And you take part of that hitting away, I think it changes the dynamic.
Yeah,
of
I'm
the team.
shocked.
Everything
I'm reading is saying Georgia Tech, and
yeah.
And I didn't see Georgia Tech play all year,
though,
but I'm just going, really?
They're
Georgia
not on my portfolio, so we'll see. That doesn't mean they won't win it.
Let's take a quick break here. Come on back. We got some UFC fights from Macau this weekend, as well, the other gambling capital of the world. Now let's talk about it. Come on back, folks. Main event with Uncle Lou. Cha-ching! I don't know if you wanted that out or not. That's why I stopped. Lou's just talking about how exciting this time of year is out there.
Yeah.
I mean, like we talked about it, man. I looked down at the clock and was like, we got to talk UFC, Lou.
We're on the air.
We got to get through this here as well. But, I mean, look, it's like next week we'll be talking Super Regionals with Lou as well. And then, of course, NHL will be into the finals at that point. I think 2 games in, if my math's correct, as well on that. And then, of course, at UFC. We'll eventually get back to some not overnight times, but 4 a.m. main card start here, our time here from Galaxy Arena over there in Macau, China as well. So 1 a.m. for roughly the prelims coming up this weekend. As we always do on these types of fights, Lou, I don't recognize, obviously, a lot of people here. I see my favorite named fighter that you always give me a hard time about in the prelims, Loma Lookboonmee. I just love the name there. You always give me a hard time. Like, why do you want to talk about these fighters here and everything? I mean, first fight of the night, I'm just going to ask just because I love the name there. Seen her fight a bunch of time against Amorim, who we've seen fight a bunch as well. Amorim is the favorite going into this. Decision, most likely, obviously. Is there anything to watch in this first fight here with the what I think is the cool name?
Yeah, I think what you look for is if Amorim can sub Lookboonmee in the first round.
Yeah.
Because if she can't, then Lookboonmee probably wins the decision. You got to understand in this fight card over in China, what you have is someone from the Eastern Hemisphere, meaning
She's from
China,
Thailand.
Russian, Thailand, Australia, some South Korea, some Japan. Those countries are competing here, one in each fight, and they're matched up against someone in each fight that has to travel from outside of the hemisphere. So we need to understand, again, right, when weigh-ins are happening, we could be surprised by some travel and some snafus. But be that as it may, in this fight, I don't know where it sits in the card, probably early on.
It's the first fight.
These early fights, I will not be more than I won't get up for. By the time 4 o'clock rolls around, I'll get into the main card, and that's where I'll want to do most of my handicapping, but there is a couple I want to draw everyone's attention.
Tell us on the prelim. I'm leaving it to you like I always do because I don't know anybody else on this prelim for the most part. So you tell us if you're going to be up that late, what should you be watching?
Well, first thing there's a few things you got to understand here. You're going to be in a big cage, Well, a lot of these kids are smaller, although 5 of the 13 are at 170 pounds or more, big boys. And when you look at the lines, there's only one fight where the favorite is priced lower than minus 205, meaning in the Sue Maerge and Alex Perez fight, Perez is minus 140, Sue Maerge is plus 120. Every other fight, the favorite's minus 210, 250, 350. So what this card really is, it's designed specifically to give the people in the Eastern Hemisphere somewhat favorable matchups against people that have to travel in so that they can fuel the expansion of the UFC in that region. Does it seem fair? I don't know. I'm not here to decide if it's fair or not. I'm here to tell you that's what they're doing, and so that affects how I look at this fight card. And so to me, there's very few fights to bet here, but there are fights we need to talk about. This fight between Meng Ding and Henrique should be a barn burner because they're 170-pounders. This Meng Ding is from China, power, aggressive, ultra aggressive, and Henrique, it's a debut. Henrique's 7 years younger, bigger, longer. That should be a really interesting matchup. Both these guys come from contender where they lost. So it's interesting to me because I want to watch it and learn, but no way would I bet that fight. Then we go up a little higher. You go to Iori Kilang. He fights Cody Haddon. Haddon fought just 2 weeks ago and rolled and incurred no damage. 27 years old, 5 years younger. He's got great wrestling. He opens minus 290. Now he's minus 400 maybe. Let's see.
I don't have it in front of me.
He's minus 360 or minus 365. So Haddon should have his way with the Chinese fighter just because of his strength of wrestling there. And then a fight that should be really cool is at 170, and it's the main event of the undercard. That's Jake Matthews against Charleston Harris. Jake Matthews had another opponent that fell out. We didn't know if we were going to get an opponent. Harris comes in, 38 years old, short notice, Guyanese fighter. He's a brawler. He's tough. He'll strike. He's got some ground game, and I think he's a relatively dangerous matchup early for Matthews, although Matthews has had a full camp. He's 31 years old, 7 years the younger guy, and he's had some decent momentum lately. Matthews is designed to look good in this fight. I think he will, and you might even try something that looks like Matthews inside the distance, because you're looking at Matthews' price right now. You can see that he's, a minus 300 or so.
360 is what I saw.
Yeah, so you can't really bet that. Now, I'll share now a bet that I put out on the Bout Business on the Sneak Teep podcast, and now it's been out 5 days because that's when the Sneak Teep came out. And for those of you that don't listen to the Sneak Teep, you should, because I bury hidden gems in there like this. If you look at this fight card as we go into the main event, you know what? I'm going to tease that because we're going to get into the main event, and I want to talk about 2 or 3 of the fights before the bets that I made. But I have a bet that it was made on the Sneak Teep that involves 2 legs of a parlay being on this main card. I'll share those as we get to those fights. Yeah. Well, but I'm ready to go to the main card.
Start rolling. Okay, I'm not going to stop your momentum now. You're rolling.
So the opener of the main card is Sue Maerge, a long, lean string bean of a guy from China, but he trains in California. No. So he probably went out there and had plenty of time to acclimate and stuff. But just FYI, he eventually did have to do some travel because Perez has to travel. 4 years older is Perez. Maerge's 3 years taller, a lefty, and has a 7-inch reach advantage. Sue Maerge is primarily a stand-up fighter that needs length, and he just pitter-patters you into a points decision. No real power. Alex Perez has been inactive in his career, but lately has been active as he's gotten healthy and such. He loses only to top 8, top 10 featherweights. He's number 8 himself. Maerge is unranked. Even though he's got to travel and go face Maerge, and this fight opened a dead pick. I like Perez at the minus 130, minus
142 right now on DraftKings.
Okay, so I would tell you shop because at 42 at DraftKings, 44, 40, 40, 40, and a 50. So 142 ain't a bad price. I think Perez, because he can wrestle, grapple, meaning on the ground, and strike, I think his striking engages Muarji, and Muarji's long, lean body is too much for Perez to say no to, and he takes him down and smothers him from top, maybe even finishes him. I like Perez in this fight against Sue Muarji. Okay, next fight.
You said that fight open as a pick'em?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
And so the next fight is Kai Asakura, and he's fighting a guy named Smotherman. Interesting, Smotherman going from 135 in this fight down to 125. Smotherman will be a little taller. He'll be the bigger man. But when you drop weight like that, it's because you're having a hard time dealing with all those big guys. Now, he wants to be the big guy. Meanwhile, Asakura, at 125 pounds, he has size, strength, and he's adroit. Well-rounded, the Japanese fighter. And let me correct myself here. It isn't Smotherman that's dropping. It's Asakura that's going up from 25 to 35. That's a big difference.
Ooh, so he's going up.
So Asakura is going up in weight. He fought at 135 early. When he went to the UFC, he went to 25 and was 0-2. So he doesn't like the weight cut. Now he's going back up to take Smotherman, who's a natural 35er.
So are you saying he has the frame for the 35? He was fighting under his frame before?
He was fighting like they all fight. They cut all this weight because they want to be the bigger guy and be bullies.
Yeah. But he's not going up to a weight where his frame doesn't handle it.
He's going up to the weight where he should be fighting at.
Perfect.
And so we'll see how Smotherman can handle Asakura, and really how Asakura can handle somebody that's a legit 35er, because Smotherman will weigh 135 and then he'll fight at 152.
Yeah.
So that fight, I guess, is interesting. Asakura is a big favorite. I got no opinion in that one.
He's a big favorite, but also the over-under is 2.5, minus 160 to the under on that fight as well.
I would, if reading that, I'd say Asakura submission.
I'd say probably submission, right? It's the wrestling.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
Now here's one. What's the over/under in this Pavlovich-Teixeira?
Heavyweight fight here with Teixeira. Didn't Teixeira just fight a few weeks? I felt like he was in the ring like a week ago.
No, it wasn't.
I know
that.
it was a while ago, but
I
I just remember seeing him with his big spider tattoo on there. Yeah, minus 625 is what it is for Pavlovich right now. Pavlovich, there's minus 625. Yeah.
So this is an easy fight to break down. This is the hammer, Pavlovich, and the nail, Teixeira. This will be a complete and total demolition.
Under 1.5 is the over/under is 1.5. Under minus 188. To the under.
Right. Should be. It'll be 250 by the time.
Well, we've seen a few heavyweight fights here. Let me ask you this: we've seen a few heavyweight fights where guys were supposed to get in and just smash the other guy. Can he stretch this out into start the second round here? Or start the third round? Or
I don't know.
If
he cut Teixeira, can he? Yeah, if he runs like Forrest Gump, runs and keeps away from him, anything can happen.
We've seen a few heavyweight fights where guys were supposed to get destroyed, and then all of a sudden they're still standing there in the third. They're still getting pounded. But
how many heavyweight fights have I come here to say this guy's going to demolish the other guy and that it didn't work? Here's one. Let's watch and see what happens. But I'm telling you, this Pavlovich is a legit top 5 heavyweight, and Teixeira ain't.
Okay.
And we'll see it. And we'll go so far as to say there's leg 1 of Uncle Lou's parlay. Pavlovich minus 600. There's leg 1. Now we'll go to the next fight. Ming Yang and Manyfield, the co-main event of the night. If you remember Ming Yang, and I know Steve does, the last time we talked about him was that fight against Johnny Walker, where he was a big favorite, and he was supposed to be. It was a setup fight the last time in China, and Johnny Walker was supposed to be the nail. Nobody told Johnny Walker that. Johnny Walker went out. Remember those leg kicks and just bludgeoned this Ming Yang.
That's one thing I'm talking about. Yeah.
Ming Yang was embarrassed in front of his whole country. Now he comes back and they put lipstick on the pig and they gussy him up for a new one, but they bring in even a more susceptible opponent for him in Alonzo Manyfield. Now Menifield's willing and he's game and he's going to go in there and he's going to try and knock Ming Yang's block off. But Menifield's 38 years old, 11 years older, 2 inches shorter, and he's got power. It'll be a very interesting fight here to see if Menefield and Ming Yang can vibe. Ming Yang blows this fight, we'll never see him again in the UFC. If he wins it, they prop him up and they have a 170 pound, 200, a light heavyweight from China that they can promote and help. They're big into China because there's such expansion potential for the UFC. So they're doing all they can for Ming Yang here. It's a setup fight, but I didn't use this one in the parlay, which tells you I don't have that much faith in Mr. Ming Yang. Who knows? Menefield's a bad hombre. So I'll be watching that fight, and we'll see. And then we go to the main event.
Yeah.
Main event, 135 pounds. Now, Figueiredo, the Brazilian, used to be the champ at 25, moved to 35 as he's now getting old. He's 38 years old, and those cuts to 25 were killing him. And so he's better at 35, but he's a little undersized. He's fought great competition, just can't get over the top, and they're bringing him in here just to be a subject. I'm just saying. Song Yadong trains in the U.S. at Team Alpha Male with Uriah Faber, and there he has developed tremendous wrestling prowess. But there's not going to be a ton of wrestling in here because if it is, it'll be Yadong on top. No, this fight comes down to whether Figueiredo's coming here to win or survive. In his last few fights, he's come to survive, and they're boring fights, and that's what this could be. Yadong is coming to finish Figueiredo, make no mistake about it. This is all about the Yadong finish. That's what the design of the whole card is about. That's what Yadong wants. Will Figgy acquiesce? I don't know. Looking at the total, doesn't look like he's gonna. 4.5 under minus 120.
Under is minus 105. Over 4.5 is minus 125.
I think Figgy I think Yadong inside the distance would be something to consider, but it's not the way I went because I'm conservative. So what did I do? I took Yadong minus the 600. So leg 1, Pavlovich, minus 600. Leg 2, Yadong, minus 600. Leg 3, Alex Pereira, minus 110 in the White House card. Mm-hmm. That's a 1-unit bet. So I'm just planning on having these first two come in. Pereira's minus 110. The 3-team parlay pays, I don't remember what it was. I put it out on the podcast, and I don't remember the numbers, but we'll tell you. It's plus something.
It's a plus number.
It's a plus number, and it's on the podcast, so it's not like I'm going to fudge what the number is. So my goal is to use this card, use those two heavy chalks just to get a couple of snoozer wins, and then I go into Pereira as a big, huge underdog, and then I got options. I can come back on Gane 1 unit and either win the difference between Gane and where I have Pereira or win nothing. Well, you mean I can have a no-risk bet? I can either win or not lose? That ain't so bad. Will I choose that? I don't know. Let's just try and get the first part in.
It doesn't work unless you get the first two in there.
Doesn't work that way. Anyway, Song Yadong is a legit 135er.
Let me ask you about Yadong here really quick. Was his last fight O'Malley, or was that 2 fights ago?
Yes, it was O'Malley.
And he fared well in that fight.
He fared well, but lost in a close decision.
Yeah, and so some people thought he should have won that, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if I did, but O'Malley's a tough cookie, and I think Yadong learned a lot. And he's learning that he can't leave it in the hands of these judges, especially the kind of fighter he is. This kid's chiseled out of marble. He's fast. He's quick. He's got good feet. He's improved every year he's been in the UFC, and he's fought some good guys. This is a showcase for Song Yadong.
Perfect. And then going back to Min Yang here, you're just worried that he's going to have another stinker of a fight.
I'm worried that if Menefield touches him, he crumbles like a freaking suit falling off a hanger.
Yeah, I didn't. When I was talking about that earlier on the heavyweight fight, I forgot that Min Yang was up next. So when you said that, I was like, oh, that's the guy that was terrible last time.
Oh,
and home in China too, like you said, it was a Chinese fight, and he was supposed to just light him up, and even afterwards.
We had Walker at what, 4 plus 400 or 4.25. It was just too easy.
Yeah, and it's just like, what? So it's just interesting when guys get home fights, man. You think you'd come in more hyped and ready to go and want to light it up. And it's just like, man, you got to wake up a little bit from that side. So it's an exciting card. It's just early morning fighting. So wake up early or whenever you get up, 6, 7, turn it on here as well. I can tell you the The main one here is 6:45 a.m. our time and Saturday morning. So,
but I come back with Evie from the park. We go to Granada Park, and she gets in the water and chases ducks, and we feed the ducks Cheerios, and then have our walk, and then go home. I'll stop and get a latte at Starbucks, and I'll be camped out watching fights in the early morning, having the fights early, and then
I love morning fights.
I'm not sure if I think there's Hockey Friday, so there wouldn't be Saturday. So I'll have to figure out horse racing or something.
Well, that's the thing. Well, yeah, there might not be much more after that, but it's 29th, so tomorrow night. So then they would play Sunday again.
Before we know it, it's going to be June, and I'm going to be waiting for the Warren Sharp NFL study.
To get into that.
I just found I didn't bring him.
He's starting to put. Now he's not putting a whole bunch of stuff out. But he's starting to put some stuff out.
He's leaking stuff, and he's getting more popular. And more people are finding out about that. But here's what I count on. I count on me and very few others reading 550 pages cover to cover.
I read the interesting things. Yeah.
I take the whole month of July to do it. It doesn't take me the whole month.
Yeah.
I do about 4 teams a day, knock them all down. The key is finding a NFL team-by-team schedule that is printable, that gives you the opportunity to make I'm a make notes guy.
Oh, he's got them, folks. Yeah, I mean, you can see that folder there that he has on his desk that he was just rifling through.
I have every single team printed out because...
Just what he does on the UFC stuff. Do you computerize that afterwards?
The UFC stuff is... I have my database is computerized, so I can...
Because, I mean, you got to keep track of a lot of fighters over the...
Not only 706 fighters,
some don't fight for 2 years
height,
between
weight,
them.
Birthday. You know, if they get too old... There's a website... UFC Roster Watch on Twitter, and they tell you who comes and who goes. So I don't put the new ones on until I have to put them on a fight card. But the ones that go, I keep because
get rid of them.
I don't want to have 800 names in my damn database.
You're scrolling down like, where's that name at? Where's that name at?
No, they showed me now. All I go to the square and just put in like Smith.
Start it, and it comes
SMI, I get all the SMIs there. I have no clue about how Excel works.
And just the way the UFC is expanding, like you said, a lot of Chinese fighters, which we don't see a lot. Those guys don't always come out here to fight in this side. They fight on that side of the world, kind of a deal.
Well, Paramount's allowing that to happen now, and obviously these fights are going to be at prime time out there, as it should be. We should have to be the ones on.
Yeah. I used to make fun of that when they go to Australia, and then they'd be fighting it. It's 8 p.m. our time or whatever, and then there it's 5 in the morning. It's
but Australia is different because they speak our language and we're interested, and so that's got to be compromised a little. Although the last one was like that,
they did that.
But a fight like Macau, they're not going to hurt themselves by putting it on at 1 a.m. because the ratings probably won't be that much different.
5 billion people in China that could be tuning in for their national heroes.
They're fishing where the fishes are.
Exactly. And they want to be in that market.
Yep.
That is one thing to consider. Any of these go to decisions and they're close. That is something to consider this week.
Oh, you have to. Yes.
UFC wants Chinese heroes in that market, so pay attention to that. Not forget about the bias there. Just the UFC wanting that to happen as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it is an amazing thing how you try to do that from the national side of things.
You just got to be aware of these things.
It's a big weekend, Lou. It's gonna be fun.
Huge weekend. We got a lot going on. Then next week, we'll be back here talking about the regionals in College World Series, the Stanley Cup Final as well. The White House card that'll be the following week in June. So that's going to have some interesting
that's
matches.
coming up quick.
I will hope to be holding a Pereira ticket well above market price that we can talk about then.
Yeah, and with this parlay?
Yes.
So you're talking about? Yep. So, you got that out there, folks, so pay attention to that. Don't forget About Business Podcast, and I apologize. You said it'll be out sometime tonight?
No,
in the morning,
it'll be out sometime Friday morning.
Tomorrow, so I think keep thinking today's Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it could be more midday.
So perfect. So pay attention to that as well. They're on the sites. And folks, Lou will be back next week as well. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Come and join us as well. Share us with your friends. TME Media AZ on YouTube, folks, is where you can find it. It's live and, of course, on demand as well. And Robert says, I think he uses Uncle Lou GPT to keep the UFC fighters also. Are you saying Uncle Lou's AI is what you're saying?
I use GPT for a lot of things. I haven't used it for fighter stats yet, but oftentimes I miss leg reach. And the only place you can get that is UFC.com. So I may try ChatGPT.
It's been wrong. You got to pay attention because I've done that before. It's like a shortcut, and it's been wrong. And then I look into it, and I'm like, oh, that's not even close to being right. So you do kind of have to double check it still to this point. But Lou will be back next week. We'll be back tomorrow morning, folks. Pit stops out there right now as well. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great afternoon.